Hello, friend. Jim and Barbara here, coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico with JB's Big Adventure. So today what we're going to do is we're going to share with you 8 or 9 or even 10 different things that after being here for 8 months, what we have found, again, after living here for 8 months in Mexico. And we're going to talk about the first one, and that is being fluent in Spanish before you get here isn't necessarily required, but it is helpful. Now, what we find is that when we got here, it's good to know something, but it isn't required to live here in Mexico. And it's really good, since we're in their country as visitors, that we learn their language. It's only right. And what that does is makes our circle bigger in regards to what we're able to do and communicate with here at Lake Chapala. Number 2, the food is different at Lake Chapala if you're looking at Mexican food and comparing it to what is in the United States, at least, not Canada, if not in Canada also. And when you're driving around, you just don't drive into a Taco Bell and you've got Mexican food. The only bells here, I think, are church bells. So no Taco Bells, and it's just a different taste. And it's just getting used to it. And being from New Mexico and also being from Southern California, being raised with Mexican food, it's a totally different taste. It's close to Tex-Mex, but I wouldn't even say it's Tex-Mex. So it's getting used to some different flavors. They do different things here. They don't use much when it comes to flour tortillas. A lot of it is corn tortillas. So the tastes of things are a little different here than they would be in the States.
Plus the cheese.
Yes, and the cheese. So the cheese here they use goat cheese, and they use, what's that white one, honey?
Queso?
They call it queso. It's kind of like crumble cheese. And is that the only cheese, or was there some others? You don't find cheddar cheese here much. You got to kind of really be looking for it if you're looking for cheddar cheese. So the food, the taste is different. And we've learned that. So after 8 months, we're getting used to it. Whether it's Mexican food or whether it's pizza, some things are just different here. And it's just getting used to that flavor, that taste. Okay, here's another big one. And this is something we hear from a lot of other expats also. And that is the Mexican drivers, those that drive in Mexico, have had no driver's ed. And I want you to know, it shows. So how does it show? We could be going down the carretera, which is the main highway, and what ends up happening is we'll have somebody passing. It's only a 2-lane highway, so it's 1 lane going, 1 lane coming. But we could have motorcycles passing us from around on the right-hand side, or also on the left-hand side, or there's a motorcycle passing the oncoming traffic in the center lane coming towards us. And that's with motorcycles. Now, the cars, what I find is you might hear cars honking, and it isn't necessarily the expats that are honking at Mexicans. It can be expats honking at expats. So when you're here, because of the lifestyle, it's more laid back. You just got to realize it isn't as fast paced as it is in the States or in Canada if you're accustomed to that. So that's one of those things that's important for you to know about. When it comes to driving here, it's really important to make sure that you're watching on both sides. And if you're going into Ajijic, the area on the right-hand side is specifically set aside for walkers and bicyclists and rollerblades and those kind of things. So when you're making a right-hand turn, you're crossing over that path, you got to make sure that you're really looking to your right, that somebody isn't coming at you and you're cutting them off. So that's a really, really important thing. And that was number 3. Somebody want to say more about that? Okay. Okay, number 4. If they say just in a little bit, realize a little bit could be a lot more than that.
5 or 10 minutes.
5 or 10 minutes. And that's kind of like on the low side. There's been times it's even been more than that. Or you might be at a restaurant, something's going on, and you ask if you can go ahead and have them take your order, and they'll say. So it just all depends on the situation. But whenever you see this, just realize that, that doesn't mean that, you're a quart low of oil on your car. What that means is I need to have you wait for me before I can help you with something. Okay, so here's some other things that we have found. Number 5, Mexicans are hard workers.
Mm-hmm.
They are hard workers. Now, where we live, there's a gardener, and this gardener's got to be at least 60 years old. He's short, and whenever I see him working on the gardens and all, he's always on his hands and knees. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime that I've got to take the effort to get on my hands and knees, my knees are already messed up, getting on my hands and knees, and then getting up, doing something, then get back down on my hands and knees, working in the garden beds and those kind of things, that's a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they do it day in and day out. And I'm not just talking about the men. I'm talking about the women also. We have a maid that comes to our place once a month, and she's a hard worker. You would think that she'd be here, and she gets paid for 2 hours work, which is all set up in advance. But there's times she puts in even more time to make it even better. And so it's really appreciated, those individuals that work here, that we're around, that we see. I have not seen lazy ones. I've seen hard workers in Mexico is pretty much what we've seen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
The older generation.
the older generation,
Yeah.
and there's some are probably even older than 60 that are working really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that we've really noticed, specifically living where we're living, because there's always those in the garden and such working. And it's, man, and you know what? I don't know what it is about here, but it seems like they work from Monday through Saturday. They don't get Saturday, Sunday off. It's Monday, so they're working like 6 days straight. Mm-hmm. And they're painting, and they're up on top of ladders, and they're carrying stuff around and pushing a wheelbarrow. And it's amazing. It's just amazing how hard of workers they really are. Another thing, number 6, they're really friendly. Mm-hmm. When we talk to someone here locally, and it doesn't matter if we're getting gas, it doesn't matter if we're at the restaurant, they're always friendly. And it's just kind of, you get blown away a little bit because of the fact that the culture that we come from, that might not always be the same, because if you're from the States, you know, sometimes they've been Americanized and they could be just like other Americans, which isn't always nice. But here, they're nice, they smile, they're willing to make way for you. Mm-hmm. We'll be pulling into a parking spot at the grocery store or whatever it may be, and they're helping you, you know, they're helping moving you to help you get in. They're standing there in the parking lot. I mean, just very, very friendly people, really there, willing to help and give direction. All right. I've already mentioned number 7 about being patient, being actually very patient. Because it is a slow pace, and because it is a relaxed environment. That's one of the things you're going to have to remember when you get here, and that is visiting or living here, you've got to be very patient. Number 8, when you're at a restaurant and you're ordering something off the menu, and they're nodding their head, and maybe you want to make a little bit of a change or a substitution, I guess would be in the menu. Just because they nod their head doesn't mean they understand what you're saying and what you're trying to order. Now, we know this by experience. Mm-hmm. We went and ordered a pizza, and we ordered it just a very simple way. It was, one side of it was vegetarian, or was it the whole thing vegetarian?
No. Just
was it half and half? So one half of it was mushroom black olive. The other half was pepperoni. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so when we ordered it half like that, we just figured, because we'd never had a problem with it before. And when we got the pizza, it was totally different. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't something that, I mean, it was like, I'm vegetarian, Barbara is not, I don't eat any meat. And it like came back all meat or something. It took them 3 pizzas to get it right. 3. I was absolutely amazed about that. They were trying to make it right, and we just didn't know how to say everything in Spanish. And we tried to use the Google Translate with that, and it just didn't come out the same. So that's something you just got to know. If you're ordering something and they nod in the head, you might realize it might come back to you different than what you'd ordered it. Mm-hmm. That might be something that happens for you. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. Okay, number 9. And honey, I know you drive a lot here. Traffic signs, lights, are merely a suggestion. Mm-hmm. This is amazing. We could be somewhere having breakfast. It's close to a traffic light. And people here, if they have a red light and they're wanting to cross the highway, if there's no cars coming, they'll just cross the highway.
Yeah.
If there are cars coming, they'll still cross the highway, just at a faster speed.
Mm-hmm.
What's really amazing is that and stoplights necessarily doesn't draw you to say, okay, that means I need to stop and I need to stay stopped until it turns green. No, they will do U-turns here on a red light. They'll run the red light. I've seen folks that maybe be behind us and we're at a red light and they'll go right around us through the red light. It's pretty amazing. You just have to be aware of that because you don't want to be making a left-hand turn at a light with your blinker on and all of a sudden somebody comes around your left-hand side as you're getting ready to turn because they're not willing to follow what we, as we come from the States and Canada, are the traffic rules. And just because those are actually red or a stop sign doesn't mean that that's actually what they do. That's also something.
I think, too, when you put your left blinker on, I think that's telling them that you can go around, if I remember right.
Oh, you know what? I do remember something about that one time.
Yeah, on the highway.
If you put your left blinker on and you're actually on the highway, that's on the highway, though. That's not on the street. On the highway, that means that you're able to go around them.
And they usually pull over so that you can go around.
Yeah, what they expect you to do is pull over to the right even more so they can go around you. I'd forgotten about that, that's even kind of an interesting thing because in the States, a left-hand blinker means you're going left. So that's a totally different thought of what happens here. So that's something else to know about. Number 10, just because there's no parking spot, or I should say, just because there isn't an open parking spot available, doesn't mean that they're going to go and just drive down the way looking for an open parking spot. They will park wherever and whenever. Yeah. We've actually had instances where people were blocking. We were at a restaurant, and there was basically the front of the restaurant just has stalls you can pull into, but somebody had actually basically blocked the exit of getting out. Literally parked their car there. They went inside the restaurant to find out if anybody knew whose car it was. Nobody knew. Yet it was parked there. There was a huge truck. We couldn't figure out why everybody wasn't turning left on the light. But there was this red car. There was a big truck behind it and a big box truck. And we were next, and there was no way. And somebody had to come telling us that there's a car blocking and the truck can't get through. So that's something to be aware of, and also realize that they double park here. You could pull in somewhere and go into the restaurant or go into a store, and when you come out, there might be somebody blocked right behind your car because they've double parked. And that could be somewhat frustrating if you're somebody that's needing to get somewhere. You come out and somebody's behind the car, and nobody knows whose car it is.
Yeah. That's big in Chapala, more so than Ajijic.
Yeah, and that's right. That's big in Chapala because they might not have a parking space right along the main road. They'll go ahead and park right behind somebody. And they put their flashers on sometimes. And that can be something that'd be somewhat frustrating. Or even if you're pulling in to park into a spot and they're taking up 2 spots. So they're not pulling into 1, they're pulling in 2, or they actually pull in as if they're 1 car in 2 spots going across the grain of the parking spot. So just know that happens here. Just because there's not a parking spot doesn't mean that they're about to park in somewhere else, because they will. That was number 10. Number 11, just because a motorcycle has 1 seat doesn't mean only 1 person is going to sit on that motorcycle. Now, anywhere, whether it's in the States and Canada, even here, a seat, two riders are going along. But we've seen as many as 4 people on a motorcycle riding down the road, kind of like a motorcycle taxi.
2 kids in the middle.
2 kids in the middle, a mother and a father, and they're all on this motorcycle, and they're not wearing helmets. You don't find them all wearing helmets here. And so you've got to really be watching everything, because that kind of thing can be a real problem. driving down the road, and there's the whole family's on this motorcycle, and it can be unsafe. Well, most unsafe for those on the motorcycle. So that's something else that we've learned about this year, and that's a common thing. Or they'll do the same thing with an ATV. You know, they'll have the dad driving, he's got legs across the gas tank, and then behind him he's got a couple of kids, and they've got the mother in the back. I mean, it's pretty amazing how many people they can get on motorcycles, ATVs, and bicycles. I've seen 3 people on a bicycle even. One riding the bike, one sitting on the front with their feet over the front tire, and then one sitting on the back on like a rack. Or you'll see kids inside of little baskets on the bicycle also. So all kinds of things when it comes to transportation in Mexico. Now, here's one I know that gets Barbara more than it does me, and that is when you're shopping at the grocery store, it doesn't matter where it is, you're going to find things that are Mexican. They look like they're for Americans, but they're in Spanish. And there's been times you've tried to find things and not been able to find them because of the fact that they're not either labeled the same way, or it's in a section that you would think it'd be a certain thing and it actually isn't that thing, and happen to use. I know it's been frustrating for you too.
Yeah, very frustrating if you don't know Spanish. So I use my Google Translate a lot because I can see the pictures, but I don't know what the words are.
Right.
So
and sometimes the pictures are somewhat maybe even confusing because you know, it doesn't always get the picture of what's in the can. It might be a picture of something else. So I know it's been something for her in trying to find the right items. And now we've been here 8 months, and it's become easier now because now we know some of the things we need to get. We know where to go and what it is. But in the beginning, it was kind of like trial and error. And it was more error than it was trial. I guess the trial went along with that. But that's something, too, that actually was something to have to deal with. Something else, and these are some kind of bonus things here. I know I said 8, 7, or 8. So another one is, just because you go to shop at Walmart doesn't mean what's in it is what you think's in it. That's another reason why having Google Translate is a good thing, because it might not be what you think it is. And there's things here that they do differently than they do in the States. One of the things that they do here is their sodas. They might have Sprite, but they got like three different versions of Sprite or Coke, or dark Coke or Coca Light. There's no Diet Coke; it's Coca Light. So the things here aren't necessarily the same as what they are in the States, and things do taste different. A Diet Coke in the States is not like a Coca Light here at Lake Chapala. There's a difference in it. And so those are one of those kind of things, too, that it's just it takes time. And when you go shopping, it'll be, as I said, it'll kind of be, you'll go through things and try different things and find out which ones it is that you're looking for. So, you know, anything else, honey, that you can think of that? No. So those are, what is that, 10, 11, 12 different things that we have found out over the months the 8 months that we've been living here. So friend, I hope this has been helpful for you. And I'd like to think that you'd get real excited about going ahead and hitting the subscribe button, because we know that you don't want to not be a part of this incredible community. It's a great community. On top of that, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to communicate. Go ahead and reach out, ask questions, whatever it may be. I'll just tell you, I like trying to get back within an hour, if not within the first day. Literally getting back and let you know that your questions are really important. Those are important to us because I know they're important to you, and you're wanting to get that information. Also, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and give us a thumbs up. What that does is that helps the algorithm at YouTube when other people are looking for, let's say, for example, things that are in Mexico or Lake Chapala. This video will pop up, and they'll get an idea of what things that experiences that we've gone through that can, in fact, be helpful for you, be helpful for them. And also what I like to do is just encourage you to go ahead and hit the bell, because that will give you immediate notification of when the next video of ours comes out. And you don't want to be missing out on any of our videos, especially some of these upcoming videos we've got coming out. So with that, thank you so much for being a part of this video. We really appreciate you. Have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.